It all began the way so many other astronomical discoveries have begun, not with a flash of brilliance across the night sky or a thunderous declaration, but with something quieter, something almost imperceptible. A faint blip. A movement so subtle against the endless black canvas of space that even the most sophisticated tracking systems nearly overlooked it. At first, it was easy to dismiss. Perhaps a comet, perhaps an asteroid. Yet the longer it was observed, the more it refused to be neatly categorized. It was too symmetrical to be a random fragment of stone and ice, too silent to behave like a natural wanderer, and far too precise in its motion to be mistaken for something drifting aimlessly. Astronomers were instantly reminded of Oumuamua, that mysterious interstellar shard that streaked through our solar system years before, leaving more questions than answers. But this new object, designated 3 Atlas, was not the same. It was larger. It was slower. It seemed smarter. And thanks to the unmatched power of the James Webb Space Telescope, humanity has been granted its clearest confirmation yet. 3 Atlas is not just similar to Oumuamua. It is far more advanced, far more deliberate, and perhaps, most disturbingly, far more aware. From the moment it was catalogued, something about 3 Atlas unsettled astronomers. Interstellar visitors are not rare in theory, but when they do appear, they streak through space at unpredictable angles, slingshot past the sun, and then vanish forever into the abyss. This object, however, moved differently. It didn't hurtle through space like a stray bullet, it coasted. Its trajectory was smooth, purposeful, and eerily efficient, almost as though it had been charted in advance. As it drifted past planets, its course seemed optimized to harvest maximum gravitational assistance, like a spacecraft that had already studied the layout of our solar system before arriving. That alone was unsettling, but when scientists traced its origin, the unease deepened. Its path wasn't merely improbable, it was impossible without intervention. Natural bodies cannot weave through debris fields, avoid high radiation zones, and bypass collision trajectories with such elegance. Watching it move was like watching a chess piece glide across a board where every square threatened danger. Yet 3 Atlas passed through flawlessly, as though it not only understood the game but had written the rules. When James Webb was turned toward it, the results defied expectation. The telescope's thermal imaging revealed something no natural object had ever shown before: a rhythmic, consistent heat pattern. Comets release heat chaotically as they vent gases, and asteroids radiate unevenly as they tumble through space. But this was different. This was measured, pulsed, like a signal. Spectroscopy revealed compounds never before recorded, hyper-reflective materials, possibly engineered, and a dense inner framework that suggested hollow chambers. Most disturbing of all, Webb picked up a recurring electromagnetic frequency repeating every 147 seconds. It mirrored the signal of a pulsar, but the object had no magnetic field, no rotation, no internal energy source. It wasn't radiating by accident. It was imitating, or communicating. When this data was compared with readings from Oumuamua, the revelation was chilling. A nearly identical signal had been detected once before, briefly, faintly, just as Oumuamua was leaving the solar system. That signal, dismissed at the time as noise, was now impossible to ignore. What 3 Atlas was sending, Oumuamua had already whispered. The only difference was that this time, the signal was stronger. Back in 2017, Oumuamua's sudden entrance left scientists baffled. A cigar-shaped object tumbling end over end, accelerating in ways gravity couldn't explain. Some speculated alien technology. Others argued for an exotic natural explanation. But it was gone too soon to know for certain. 3 Atlas, however, has lingered long enough to strip away doubt. It isn't rushing out of our system. It is drifting, stable, intentional. If Oumuamua was a scout, this may be something far more, an observer that watches as much as it is watched. And with that realization came the question no one wanted to say out loud. If this is only the second step, what comes next? When its trajectory was mapped across time, a startling pattern emerged. The intersections weren't random. They formed a spiral, one so precise that it mirrored symbols found etched into ancient caves and stone walls across South America, Africa, and even pre-dynastic Egypt. Some skeptics dismissed the link as nothing more than pseudo-archaeology, but within the James Webb science team, a quiet unease began to grow. Models were run, not on the assumption that the object was traveling, but that it was performing. Its path wasn't navigation, it was choreography. A ritual written across the heavens, a language encoded into motion, visible only to a civilization advanced enough to read it. If so, then what was it broadcasting? Was the spiral a greeting, a memory, or a warning? Behind closed doors, in defense agencies and black-budget operations, a darker theory was born, the lock and key hypothesis. According to this idea, Oumuamua had been the lock, a silent inert test. Its role wasn't to interfere, but to observe, measuring humanity's response, gauging our readiness. It was harmless because it was never meant to act. It was the cosmic equivalent of a closed safe. And 3 Atlas? That was the key. Not passive, but active. Not a question, but an answer. An unlocker of something hidden, whether buried within Earth, encoded in our DNA, or resting dormant on the edge of orbit. The first evidence came suddenly. A tiny oscillation in Earth's magnetosphere timed perfectly with 3 Atlas's pulse. Invisible to the human eye, but powerful enough to knock 2 long-range satellites offline for minutes. More alarming still, both Voyager probes, relics of our first great step into interstellar space, suddenly broke protocol. For 6 minutes, they emitted strange bursts of data no one has yet decoded. It was as though something had recognized them, something familiar, and shook them awake. Theories multiplied. One of the most radical was the portal hypothesis. Drawing from quantum field theory and exotic matter research, some suggested that 3 Atlas might not be a vessel at all. Instead, it could be a mobile gateway, not traveling across the cosmos but folding spacetime around itself, distorting reality as it moved. Supporting this were Webb's recordings of strange lensing effects, tiny gravitational warps, light bending in ways that couldn't be explained by simple mass or temperature. And then came the most chilling discovery of all, temporal drift. Light arriving faster than it should, compressed by localized distortions in time. This wasn't just a visitor. It was an anomaly, a gatekeeper, perhaps not the first to pass here, but the latest. As monitoring intensified, Webb uncovered radiation where there should have been silence. 3 Atlas was emitting pulses between gamma and soft X-ray frequencies, an artificial band rarely seen in nature. The pulses came in binary-like sequences, precise and deliberate. And they weren't harmless. Around the world, observatories reported sensor failures and unexplained blind spots. One prototype telescope in Australia was destroyed outright, its primary detection chip melted by a single millisecond burst. The conclusion was clear. The object had the ability to blind us. Oumuamua had passed quietly. 3 Atlas was choosing what we could see. This wasn't a broadcast. It was a jamming field. Then came Earth's response, only not from humans. As researchers coordinated a global experiment during 3 Atlas's closest pass, strange resonances were detected. Across continents, natural magnetic fields began to sync with the object's rhythm. Volcanoes, quartz caverns, and deep fault lines pulsed faintly with its beat. Seismographs recorded vibrations eerily like a heartbeat, repeating every 43 seconds. Even life itself seemed to respond. Migratory birds, whales, even insects altered their navigation patterns simultaneously, as though some buried compass inside the planet had flipped. It was as if Earth itself remembered something, and 3 Atlas had triggered it. But the greatest shock came from above. A private satellite array over the Pacific intercepted a burst unlike anything ever received before. It wasn't directed at Earth. It was sent to the Moon. Encoded across 5 layers of data, amplitude, frequency, time, polarization, and tone, the transmission wasn't language. It was instruction. And when its trajectory was calculated, the target became undeniable. A very specific lunar coordinate, one long known for its strange gravitational anomalies, the so-called mascons. The possibility could no longer be dismissed. 3. Atlas might be attempting to activate something buried beneath the Moon's surface. Not all responses were scientific. A covert probe launched under military secrecy attempted a close flyby. Disguised as a communication satellite, it was meant to penetrate the object's defenses with a high-resolution scan. It never returned. 27 seconds before its signal died, the probe recorded an impossible phenomenon. A wall of energy, invisible yet structured like a lattice, an electromagnetic shield. The final image showed its own reflection fractaled back at it, as if the object had scanned the scanner in return. Then silence. The conclusion was inescapable. 3. Atlas wasn't just reacting. It was protecting itself. Shielded. Aware. Perhaps Oumuamua was only the test, and this the key. Perhaps its spiral path and cryptic pulses are not for us, but for something beyond us. What if every adjustment, every pulse, every silent maneuver isn't a conversation with humanity, but with whatever is still on its way? Because maybe the truth isn't that we've found something alien in our skies. Maybe the truth is that it found us long ago. And now, by observing it, by decoding it, by daring to listen, we've triggered the beacon. And somewhere, across the black expanse of space, something has heard the call. Something is coming.